UFC 223, breakdown and predictions with Brendan Dorman, ACB 87 headliner Kane the Danger Mousah, and this week in MMA history.
This is Darren Till. Tune into Obviously Fight Talk.
Thanks, Darren. Welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk episode 107. And you want to listen to a 205-pound gorilla, that's all I'll say. You probably are because you're already listening. But I'm joined, as always, by the pussy version of Cody Garbrandt, Robert Fallon.
Could you not have went with the other one? Could you not have went with the Cody Garbrandt who went to college and doesn't want to beat up everybody who robs his hair product, whatever the other one was?
No.
Reddit is a wonderful place.
The pussy Garbrandt. There's a story to that. I'm Nal O'Keefe, by the way. Hello. Welcome along to Obviously Fight Talk. But we shared our Darren Till interview. If you haven't seen our exclusive Darren Till interview,
check it out.
Go and check it out. It'll be in one of the videos. Maybe after you listen to this week's show. But yeah, a couple of points. We put it up on Reddit and somebody commented calling Rob a pussy version of Cody Garbrandt. To which I asked, why are you saying that? That's not very nice. And then he came back, well, you know, he looks like the version of Cody Garbrandt that went to college, got himself a career and just doesn't want to fight for any reason.
Which was nicer. Which was definitely a nicer
way of saying the pussy Garbrandt.
Yeah. But thanks, man.
Then the second story is someone in our YouTube comments, brilliant as well, on the video, gave out to us for being blasphemy and doing the interview in front of the Last Supper.
There were some great comments on that. There was one, I don't know, I can't remember like the actual verbatim or whatever you want to call it. It was like, I liked Darren Till until he got this fight. I hope Wonderboy fucks him up.
Yeah. People were turning, man. Turning quick. Constantly referred to, these British guys can't speak.
Yeah.
We're Irish. Darren's from Liverpool. He's English, so yeah. But the reason why that interview came about was Darren was over here to sign with Paddy Power, a sponsorship deal with Paddy Power, and we got to interview Darren. It was pretty cool. And thanks for the shout out, Darren. A shout out to our sponsors, our regular sponsors, Fight Star Ireland, The Fighter's Choice, everything you need under two roofs, and to MMAmix.com. They're obviously good because they're with obviously Fight Talk. And you want some energy? You want to get not high on stuff that gets you comfortable and relaxed, CBD oils, go and check out feelsupreme.co.uk. And hey,
very good,
use the code FIGHTTALK at the end and that'll get you 10% off.
And you'll feel
supreme. As I was saying the code, I was like, shit, I was saying the right code.
Yeah.
I was mixing it up with our Twitter handles, which is @talk_fight.
Yeah.
Beautiful segue there. If you haven't and you've just come across this episode or you followed us on a live stream, look, we are actually professional and we're in a studio, although this doesn't seem to be a professional start. Yeah. But hit subscribe below so you don't miss all the content and future interviews and shows. But Rob, we've got a packed show this week.
Yes.
We will be looking back in history this week. 14 years ago, we'll be covering a little bit of MMA history. We'll also be joined by ACB 87 main eventer Kane the Danger Mousah joins us, talking about his upcoming fight against Robert Whiteford. We will be previewing and giving predictions for UFC 223 with the B Dorman. We're not saying there's nobody better. We're not saying he's the best. We're just saying there's nobody better. If you don't know who Brendan Dorman is, Joe fucking Rogan does, because he gave me a shout out this week on the podcast.
Yeah.
Rogan, he's always on here.
Yeah.
Watch him and you'll see just how good Dorman is on the TV, because he's always on that big beautiful screen right there. But Rob, let's kick it off where we used to always kick it off, but we're kicking it off today, and we're not even doing a whoo. Look how professional we are. We're going straight into your obviously quick fire news. This is where we talk about a subject for 2 minutes, and when the 2 minutes is up, 2 minutes is up. For example, Tony Ferguson versus Khabib Nurmagomedov is off. Ferguson was forced to withdraw from the bout due to a freak injury he sustained while doing media rounds for the contest. UFC featherweight King Balls Max Holloway has stepped in on 6 days' notice to challenge the unbeaten Khabib for what Dana White has called an official lightweight title.
We'll say one thing before we press the button and we go on 2 minutes. We spoke about this more, like kind of at length with Brendan Dorman on this week's show, because we recorded this pre-recorded. So we're not going to get into our reaction to Khabib and Max Holloway. We're going to get into more of the other stuff that happened that's surrounding it. So the likes of the first thing before I press it, Tony Ferguson saying he shouldn't be stripped of the title because of a freak accident.
Yeah, he should be. They just said that this is for the official lightweight title. The argument is Conor hasn't been stripped. Dana keeps saying as soon as the first punch is thrown, Conor's going to be stripped. So an interim title is for when the champion isn't active. There's 2 men vying for the title on Saturday night, so one of them will be crowned champion unless it goes to a draw. One of them will be crowned champion, so therefore the interim title is no longer valuable or carries any meaning.
Here's the kind of, a bit, though. Here's the kind of problem with it. It's that Conor has been inactive for what, a year and a half ish. I don't know what exactly it is. More. 2 years? I don't know what it is. He hasn't defended his title anyway in that amount of time.
No, it's a year and a half actually.
Yeah. So Tony Ferguson wins this interim title. Conor's still the full champion. Tony has been active. He's been fighting. Then he falls out due to a freak accident, and then his interim title gets taken away, and Conor's will probably be taken away. We still don't really know. They're calling it an official title, but who knows? So I definitely feel for him. I do feel for him because
I don't, and I take Conor out of the equation.
I feel for him.
Don't go around kicking metal poles.
That's not why he got injured.
That's not why he got injured.
No, it's not.
No, I know, but don't do that anyway.
Yeah, but you know that was in the last camp.
Yeah, but thing as well is you got to take Conor out of the equation. Tony Ferguson shouldn't be affected by what Conor McGregor has done or doesn't do. Conor should have been stripped a long time ago.
Yeah, but if that was a real title, Tony wouldn't be stripped.
No, but it's not a real title.
Yeah, well, it kind of is. To be fair to Tony.
Well, no, I don't agree with it. Another point because it's going to go to the Brian Ortega accepted the fight before Holloway as well.
Absolute balls as well.
Absolute.
Didn't get it. Absolute balls.
So it seems like a lot of lightweights aren't willing to step up to Khabib, but the featherweights
it could be the weight cut, to be fair, because Max Holloway has a huge weight cut. Could be the weight cut.
Ortega's a big dude too.
It's a big dude, but at least they are 45ers. They're not actually 55ers, so it's going to be a little bit less, even though it's still going to be.
It's crazy to think this broke on April Fool's Day. And April Fool's Day was basically virtually over for us. Yeah. But this news broke. Nobody believed it. But hey, they literally started every interview going, I know it's April Fool's Day. Yeah. But we're not taking the piss.
Yeah, we promise. Next week's co-main event, which picked Carlos Condit versus Matt Brown, is off. Brown reportedly suffered an ACL, a torn ACL. He suffered an ACL. According to multiple reports, the UFC is trying to keep Condit on the card, but no new opponent has been found as of Tuesday.
This is another fight that has tried to happen on a few occasions and hasn't happened. So Dana has said he's not making Khabib Ferguson for the 5th time. This was a great fight because these were two wily, hardened veterans.
Yeah.
Carlos Condit, Matt Brown. It's a fight that people wanted to see for a long time.
Two guys who kind of retired and then kind of came back.
Yeah.
So they were at similar stages. It's not like a young guy versus an older guy.
So
similar styles.
Yeah, it's disappointing, isn't it? But
very disappointing.
ACLs, man, like how you turn like Ferguson turned to meet
Matt
somebody
Brown.
or something, but Matt Brown, like fucking. How do you do your ACL? Was it training? Was it, I don't know. A week out from fights?
A week out, yeah.
It's insane, isn't it, the amount of fight? But look,
again, it could be another freak accident.
If you're new to MMA, this is part of the game.
Yeah.
You must live in the chaos. You gotta embrace it, man. It's
embrace the madness.
Fights fall away all the time in MMA.
It's insane.
The MMA gods don't give a flying care what the plans are for.
We coursed like
20
times up until now. I don't know.
Yeah, well, because coursing too much, it's not good. But
fuck that.
This is part of MMA. You're broke, you're crushed, but it's like the Ferguson when I was broken. I was like, I don't believe it. And then Max Holloway, and then I went on an absolute Twitter, oh my God, Holloway!
And then we're all just like,
yeah,
please MMA gods.
Please MMA
just
gods.
Please don't.
You
don't
broke our hearts. Yeah, just keep it lit. Keep it straight.
It's unfortunate that one fell out. I was actually really looking forward to it, even though I don't like when guys say they're retired and then come back. But I just think this one made sense because they both have similar styles. And
this is your move of headies I didn't see until I don't like when fighters come back. And I always say,
no.
Who am I to tell a fighter to retire?
No,
it's your move of
heady. It is my move of heady, but that's actually a separate one. I mean, I don't like when fighters come back because I always feel like if the retirement thing is in their head, then they probably should retire.
If you've watched the Darren Till video, this isn't news to you. Probably isn't news because it was everywhere as well. Darren Till versus Stephen Wonderboy Thompson is your UFC Liverpool main event. Till has been pushing for the fight for months and told us in a sit-down interview last week.
Jesus Christ.
That'll be the most interesting fight of his life and predicted a third-round knockout. Wonderboy on the MMA Hour admitted that when he originally approached about the fight, he didn't know who Till was.
Went full cowboy.
I find that hard
job.
to believe, though. Yeah, never go full job.
Yeah.
I don't believe that because his old man addressed it a while ago.
Yeah, no. When he was offered the fight originally, I assume that's back then. Which fair enough. Maybe he doesn't watch a whole lot of MMA. He did also say that he wasn't. He went.
I was not impressed by his performance.
He also went full GSP. He went full GSP, full shob in the same interview.
Yeah.
Man of many looks.
And Wonderboy's not a shit talker, but like he says it so politely. You go, oh yeah.
But the thing was, that was probably the most kind of.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even call it shit talk. It wasn't shit talk.
No.
It was just, but it was the most kind of.
But you know what it is as well. And in fairness to Darren Till, right? A lot of people, as you see by our comments, oh, he's arrogant, he's cocky, he's whatever. Till is very respectful in his call out.
Yeah.
Like he's saying he wants to fight Wonderboy because people consider him the best striker, and I want to showcase that I'm the best striker. Yeah. So that is.
To be fair, we actually haven't even given our thoughts on the fight itself. You know, we done the interview. We haven't given our thoughts on the fight.
Day, you'll absolutely destroy.
No, but I mean not by the winner. I just mean like by the reaction to.
I think it's an incredible fight.
I think it's an incredible fight. I get both sides. I get the side of, you know, you didn't have to give him Wonderboy.
No,
you know, you could have given him anybody. You know, as we said in the last when we were saying who would fight next, you can give him anybody. You can give him a matchstick box, a broomstick, a mop.
Exaggerating.
Yeah, you can. Exaggerate, but you know what I mean. You could give him anybody, and he would have drew.
Yeah, of course.
So I get that, but I also get the side of Darren Till wanted this fight. He wants to really test himself, and if he wins this fight, holy God, that guy, his stars is going to rise.
Well, if you look at the welterweight division, it's mad because for a long time it wasn't really matched, and then all of a sudden it was like Connect 4. It was like bing, 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 and they all start getting. So as soon as all the rumors and fights came out, you could start to go, Jesus, it's really looking like it's going to be Wonderboy, and it did. And like in fairness. You know, like I said it to don't get me wrong, I was quaking in my boots as I said it, but I was like, you know, when you beat Cowboy, you know, that's a blown up lightweight, you know, and like I was like, fucking hell, you know, just don't hit me. But this is a huge step up. But Darren Till knows this is a huge step up, and he wants this step up. So like, what an opportunity! Same way people are throwing bouquets at Max Holloway for stepping up. Darren Till called out the number one target apart from the champion in the division, and he got the fight. So
before we move on, one thing I also like, he's not saying, "Oh, I should get a title shot now" as well. He's like, "I'll beat this guy, and if I get a title shot, deadly." You know, it's cool.
Man, confidence is class. And a respectful call out.
Confidence is class. UFC 223 isn't the only MMA event going down this week. Bellator 196 takes place in Budapest on Friday, headlined by Benson Henderson versus. Here's a blast from the past. Roger Huerta. Irish prospect James Gallagher was originally scheduled to headline versus Adam Borix, but had to withdraw due to injury.
If Dean Knight is listening to this, Dean has the Roger Huerta tattoo.
Oh, no way.
He went and he got it done, and like you know, I think he commented on a post there not too long ago that, you know, Rogers is just a little better than his. But this is a fight that like what Huerta's still is he?
Yeah, it's weird, isn't it?
And like even Benson has talked about, you know, how he just hasn't performed under the bright lights of Bellator.
Yeah.
I think that's a fair point, and it's weird to see he was. I think Benson Henderson was the real original. You know, he goes from being the UFC lightweight champion to. Jesus, is there that much of a difference between the UFC and thing? And then you're like, holy shit, Bellator's on the same part. That curse of passing over promotions and not doing well. So Benson was talking recently about how he wants to perform, and you know, you got to think Roger Huerta, where's he been fighting? Like you know, it's a real blast in the past. Surprise. James Gallagher is a pity. James Gallagher calling out AJ McKee as well this week, is sort of saying, look, the ball's in AJ's. The ball is in his court now at this stage. So you'd like to see Gallagher back in there. It's a pity that he's fallen away from this card, but you know, Gallagher plenty of time. This was when I was asked about, you know, his SPG overhyped. Jim, was that the way they were phrased? And I was like, how can you say that, man? When they have certain fighters, and Gallagher was due to headline this.
Yeah, it's the fight itself. It's a weird fight. It's a very weird fight. Benson Harrison versus Roger Huerta.
Yeah, it is.
I'm interested just because.
How did the matchmaking come about?
It's like, I know, Roger Huerta.
Yeah,
weird.
I reckon what happened was, right, whoever the matchmaker is for Bellator was down at his dentist, and you know the way your dentist has old magazines or something, and Sports Illustrated was sat there, and he went,
just like,
who's that guy? Hey, Here's an idea. Hey.
Yeah, he's been fighting in loads of loads of different promotions. Most recently, Phoenix FC, but then one championship is where he was at. And I remember he got soccer kicked in one championship a while ago.
I remember that. Yeah, not fun. Yeah.
So he's, to be honest, his record hasn't been great as of late. I think this is Benson Henderson's fight to lose.
So Rob, a vote went out to the people and the fans of the UFC and the MMA. What is your favourite UFC fight or the greatest UFC bout
fight,
of all time? Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2 was voted the greatest UFC bout of all time by the fans. Agree or disagree?
I'd love to have the clip ready.
You're going to have 2 fucking minutes here.
Carl Pilkington. Bullshit.
Bullshit, man.
Yeah. Excellent fight.
Great fight.
Great fight.
But
No
best
question.
ever?
No question. Absolutely brilliant fight. Watched it. Just masterclass by both guys in fighting. But best ever?
Do you know what was number 2?
The first one.
Nate
That one-
Diaz, Conor McGregor.
That one makes no sense because it was 2 rounds. And it wasn't even 2 rounds of craziness. It was an excellent finish and really. It's what have you done for me lately? Type thing.
Yeah, I'm not taking away from that. Like the second fight was fantastic. And you know what's mad about the second fight is people still talk about, oh, Nate won that, and no, he didn't. Conor picked him apart, and people still argue back and forth, right? But it goes back and forth. But as you said, what have you done for me lately? Yeah. I think I'd love to see the average age of these votees. Who was voting for this?
Yeah.
Because if you look
on
at
UFC.com,
number 3 was Shogun Dan Henderson won in 2011. Now that was a fucking fight, people.
Yeah, that was.
That was it. You don't like MMA? Come here.
Come here
till I show you.
To be fair, both fights are very different in certain ways. As in, the McGregor-Diaz fight was a more technical, and a lot of people prefer that, and sometimes I prefer that.
Yes.
The Dan Henderson one was just an absolute slugfest, and some people just don't have the taste for that. They prefer something more technical.
Number 4, Rob. Robbie Lawler, Rory McDonald.
See, that was technical and a bloodbath. That's my number 1.
Man, like Stephen Bonner, Forrest Griffin back in the day.
That was a great fight.
12.
Yeah, that was a great fight, but I definitely don't think it should be close to 1. Personally, I think it was a great moment and that, but I still, if you put 2 fights together, I think there's way better fights than
Eddie
that.
Alvarez, Justin Gaethje, an absolute war. Again, these are like war slugfests. I think Conor and Nate turned into that a little bit. Jones Gustafsson was a fucking insane fight. I think there's a lot, and I do think, and I'm not understanding. Conor McGregor, Nate Diaz 2 was a fucking unbelievable fight. I was standing on my couch jumping around like a fucking madman watching it, but there's just so many other fights for me that, as a purist, as like, and it's not even like they're like really old fights or anything like that, but just it is real. What have you done for me lately? That's the best way to sum it up, and he summed it up beautifully, Robert.
Yes. Just a quick FYI for everybody, in case you haven't seen this, you probably have by now. Following UFC 223 ceremonial weigh-ins on Friday, UFC will hold a 25th anniversary press conference where many of the top fighters competing in the next few months will be present. It'll be around 6:30 p.m. Eastern, which I believe is 1:30 p.m. UK Irish time.
You gotta watch that.
It's got to be one of them,
I'd say they'll unveil something big. I'd say they might announce Conor's fight.
They might announce.
I have a funny feeling Conor gonna announce. But anyway,
so we watched that one.
Let's move it on. Let's talk about the amazing fights happening this weekend. We are not teleporting, so if you're watching on YouTube, you will see slightly different. If you're listening, you'll be like, what the fuck are the lads on about teleporting?
Well, the audio will be a little bit off.
Brendan wasn't available to record with us today. Would have been a bank holiday weekend in Ireland. Today is Tuesday on day of recording, so Brendan wasn't available for a Tuesday recording. We thought we cannot have a Khabib fight and not have Brendan Dorman on, so we recorded this via Skype call. We were all sitting comfortably in our homes.
Yes.
And if you watch closely, you'll see that Robert was sat in his kitchen and the press behind him was wide open. I think his mom just wanted to show off the good china, did she?
Was it open?
The press was wide open, showing off the china.
Was there anything in there? Anything weird?
No. Brendan Dorman, we're not saying he's the best, we're just saying there's nobody better. So this was pre-recorded yesterday, so a lot of it was initial reactions. That's why the news, we covered a little bit about the other things that happened. But this is a long one, folks. We go deep. Brendan Dorman.
So welcome back to obviously Fight Talk. If you're thinking, the lads transported themselves brilliantly there. We recorded this previously at home, as we couldn't have a Khabib fight and not have, we're not saying he's the best, we're just saying there's nobody better. Looking at him face to face here. So welcome back to Brendan Dorman, back on the show, my man.
Thanks for having me back. Very nice. Let's see a good time Saturday, yes.
So, UFC 223. Yesterday, as we were recording this on Monday, yesterday was April Fool's Day, and the 1st of April, and it sort of passed for us here in Ireland. It was nearly after midnight, I think, last night, when news broke that Tony Ferguson was out. He'd injured himself. He turned an ACL in his knee. It looked like everyone at first was like, this is April Fool's crap. And then you had Max Holloway was being brought in, and Max Holloway was going to be the guy. Then it had footage of Max Holloway in Hawaii airport. Why is he not getting on a private jet, by the way? But Max Holloway talking to the camera crew, taking the 18-hour flight. So Ferguson is out. The 4th time this fight has been made. The 4th time this fight has fallen through. But the main event, just how big are Max Holloway's balls? And are we excited for this main event, Brendan?
Yeah, I mean, to be a fan of the sport and not get up for this. I mean, who besides, minus maybe, I guess, Conor, there's no one else that could have stepped in to make it as exciting. Sure. I don't think there's any other person. Max makes a lot of sense. He's huge at 145. His height is similar, although I always thought Khabib was like my height-ish, and it looks like they lowered it on the site. I don't know. But I think they're about the same height, and Khabib might have a tiny reach advantage, like not much. What I do want to see is them next to each other, but either way, we've never seen Max like hurt bad. We've clearly never seen Khabib hurt really at all, but Max has taken some on the chin. The Conor fight is probably the last chink in his armor we've seen. As far as the size of his balls, I don't know for sure, but his intestinal fortitude. No, he's got huge balls, man. I mean, it's who he's taking it against. It's not. Yeah. If it was just another like a striker or something like that, Max has incredible striking and durability and cardio to go with it, endurance, etc. So that would have made sense and not been as like, holy shit, this guy is a fighter. Like, he is a fighter. This proves it. No matter what he does, the thing that worries me is the fucking Vex or Hex, spell, whatever is on this fight to begin with. And added to that, this last-minute change, it's like Max doesn't have much to lose. Khabib has everything to lose in this fight, And that sometimes makes for craziness, Those last-second replacements, we saw it with Diaz-Conor, although the second fight wasn't so dissimilar, but it was definitely different when you have to, plan for somebody. Although Max is such an improv artist, it's tough to say if how much that's gonna affect it, It's definitely a wait and see as far as I'm concerned. I don't know, but amazing.
What did you think about that?
Yeah, the first two things I thought about when the fight was announced was, one, wasn't Max Holloway on the MMA Hour about a week ago and said that he potentially needs surgery and he can't take a fight soon? That was the first thing that came into my head. So then I was like, okay, this must be a joke. Second thing that came into my head was Max Holloway again about 2-3 weeks ago was talking about who he'd want to fight at 155, and he said, of course, the Conor fight is there, everybody wants the rematch, but I want to fight Khabib. Khabib is an absolute badass, that's who I want to fight. So those are the first two things that come into my mind, and I was thinking, although it's a short notice fight for Max and Khabib, he must be thinking about Khabib for a long time. He must be either maybe not directly game planning against him, but maybe looking at him saying, okay, if Khabib can do this well, this is what I can do. So maybe he's been working on fighting Khabib for longer than we even thought.
My first outtakes on it, first of all, to quote Max Holloway, just to show how much of a badass he is, when his manager suggested the fight to him and got in touch with him, Holloway required going, let's fucking do it, bro. This is how legends are made. It is what it is, to quote Max Holloway as well, but Brendan, I sort of tap into what you're saying here. Holloway's coming in saving the day. That's what everyone's talking about. That's initially what, I went wildfire last night on between Twitter and Facebook. Everything was just popping left, right, and centre. I sure did. But then as I processed it, I was like, Holloway's coming in here with, even, you know, he's on a 12-fight win streak. Never fought at. He had a catchweight bout back a good few years ago at they weighed in at 149, so it was down as a catchweight. But he's never fought at 55. Officially, when they asked could they take the fight at welterweight, because they were on about weight. His manager was saying this on the MMA Hour today with Ariel, and then they said no, we want it to be for the title. So. It's 55. They wanted to crunch the numbers with Lockhart to see could he make the cut safely. They said, yeah, the fight's happened. But for me, this is what's mad about this one is yes. Straight away, first question I asked Brendan was how big are Max Holloway's balls? But how fucking courageous and a gamble and a risk is Khabib taking in this as well? You know what I mean? This everybody, it's easy to obviously talk about how amazing it is that Max Holloway is taking this in short notice. We cannot deny that. But you know, it takes two to accept the fight, and Khabib is taking the fight, and there's no issues about it. And then Khabib's father has turned around and said, "We'll wait for Ferguson. You know, once he's alive, we want to fight him anywhere, anytime." But. Obviously we can praise Max as we sort of have, all three of us, but like how big is this as well for Khabib? Basically, you know, taking this fight, he's also taking this fight against a new opponent, completely different style fighter on 6 days notice as well. So how big of a gamble or a risk is this as well for Khabib?
Well, huge. I mean, here's the thing. You know, and I know, and although you're more in the thick of it than I am, the city I live in used to be called Ireland Parish. So there's a lot of Irish people where I live, Irish American people. And that said, there's a lot of Conor fans, diehards. They almost like just watch for him, right? You know that MMA math, if say Max wins or does well even, the MMA math is gonna come out like fucking trigonometry, right? Well, if Max can do that, right, you know that's gonna happen. Yeah. So there's that risk, number one. And you know there's been a beef there for years and years and years between Khabib and Conor. I have a feeling Khabib and Max will be pretty respectful. We'll see. But anyway, so there's that. Now is his chance to win the belt. That's all the guy's really wanted forever. And now he's got the chance right in front of him, but a totally different scenario now. You have a different kind of striker, not the same slow start per se, although he did it against Aldo. In some fights he'll start slow. I don't think he will with Khabib at all. I just don't see that. I think he'll go in there trying to take his head off. Whether or not that's the right plan, whatever has been the right plan against Khabib, right? But to your point, the risk factor is huge, man. If he loses, they're going to put him at 9. You know, he's going to the back of the line, no question. And this whole Ferguson-Khabib thing just seems vexed. I hate it. You know, I was so up for this fight. It's not so bad because at least I get to see Khabib fight because he's just so wonderful to watch. Yeah, I learn something every time I watch him fight, you know? But Max, too. We're talking about two of the very best. If there were a legitimate pound-for-pound rankings, they should both be top 5, I would think. Amazing. Just amazing that it's even come together, really. You know, Khabib's risking a ton, to answer your question.
Yeah,
just before we go into breaking it down, sorry, Rob, just before we go into breaking it down as well, you're saying that MMA mats and stuff like that, but potentially here, you know, obviously Conor is being off, competing in different sport, coming back, but is this matchup the ultimate matchup for Conor McGregor here? Because no matter who the victor is, if Khabib goes on and wins, you have the potential of Khabib Conor in Russia, which would be absolutely insane. And if Max Holloway gets, by looking at the bookmakers, the big upset, if Max Holloway was to get the victory here, it's setting up, you know, Conor has been stripped of his featherweight title. As soon as a punch is thrown, he's stripped of his lightweight title. So the owner of them would be Max Holloway. So is it a big super fight, big rematch for all the gold? So is the real winner out of this scenario, no matter who wins here, is it Conor McGregor? In a weird twist of fate, he's done nothing, but he potentially has this incredible opportunity to either fight probably in the UFC's biggest card if they go to Russia, or have the big rematch and get all his belts back against Max Holloway.
Yeah, in a way, although I'm not as optimistic as you are about Khabib versus Conor in Russia. I don't even think it's safe at this point. There's that. But them fighting, I don't think they'll fight. I have to stand by that. I've been saying it forever. And it's not, someone today was kind of challenging that theory that I have, and they think it's because I think that Conor's afraid. I don't think Conor's afraid at all. Conor's not afraid to fight anybody. Clearly, he's sparring like the mountain. but I think it's more protection from above, if that makes sense, you know? And I get it from a business sense. It doesn't change my opinion of anyone. It's just, it is what it is. You know, the guy's making $100 million a fight. But I do think Conor would root for Max in this. You know what I'm saying? Like, he doesn't. Khabib stylistically is the very worst match for Conor. The very worst, in my opinion, you know, as far as reasonable weight divisions, etc. You know, Khabib has a ridiculous chin, probably the best grappling in MMA, period. He's ridiculous, and he's a little better striking than I think people think, because he uses it to then, like his flying knees, he uses those to then clinch, to then get a body lock, to then get you down. It's all cerebral and it's all muscle memory. If Max is to do something, it'll be like a shock the world thing. Last I saw, Khabib was like it was like a 4-1 type thing. Yeah.
1 day, yeah. 6 to 1. Yeah, so he's 1 to 6.
6 to 1.
Yeah.
Whoa. I think that'll change closer to the fight, but we'll see.
Yeah, just to answer the two questions there. The first one on Khabib having serious balls as well. I completely agree with that, but I also think that if he didn't take this fight, I think that would be really bad on him, as in from two fronts. I think the UFC would, you know, Dana White has a record of coming out against fighters who don't take late short notice fights. So I think if he didn't take the fight, I think that Dana White would have been out against him, and the UFC probably would have put him at the back of the line, because then when Tony Ferguson comes back, you have an interim champ, and then when Conor eventually comes back, you have a champ. So I think if Khabib doesn't take this fight, it puts him in a really bad situation. Who's he going to fight next? Who knows? They're not going to make that Tony Ferguson fight again, according to Dana White. So that's
Tony loses the interim title Saturday. First punch thrown. Same thing with him.
And then on the other question of what was the other question?
Yeah, I think I missed one too.
I don't know. What did I said Khabib. I don't know. I sort of went on a ramble there where I said about
Conor. Is Conor the big winner?
Conor big winner. Yeah.
But yeah, potentially. Yeah, but I also think. But
is it so different than if it were Ferguson?
Yeah,
right?
I think Ferguson's a huge fight too. So the Holloway fight's always going to be there. So yeah.
Yeah, something's off though. Something just feels off. The guy was kicking a fucking metal pole.
Yeah.
Something weird about all of this. I don't like it.
Yeah.
He turned around to sign an autograph quickly or something. I don't know. I could be fucking that up, but it's something like that. What is it about those two? And they don't like each other from all I can tell. Yeah. You know?
So let's talk about the fight though, man. Let's push on with it. It was madness how it came about, but it is here. So Brendan, we obviously, you only have to look. For me, like when I'm a big Max Holloway fan, I'd say outside my biasness towards Conor McGregor being a fellow Irishman, when I was watching Max Holloway, Conor McGregor back then, it was such a horrible fight for me. It was a double-edged sword, because I really felt that Max Holloway is the future as well, and you know, it's the one rematch I'd love to see happen now as well. As much as I'm saying it's tough because I like both fighters, I just think it's an amazing fight. They're both incredibly skilled, but you know, he's coming up against Khabib, and I just think to look at very different. They're very different strikers, so I'm not comparing them. But Edson Barboza, who was lightning quick, he's much bigger than Max at that weight class as well. He couldn't land a glove on Khabib. Khabib literally walked him down. So what's going to be different? Is it going to be different, or are we going to see Khabib ragdoll? And I say that respectfully, because ragdoll could be seen as just whatever, but are we going to see Khabib ragdoll the featherweight champion on Saturday night?
Do you want me to go?
Yeah.
Go ahead. So, okay, I'll go first. Yeah, I think so. If I'm being, that's just how I see it. Now, I want to make a caveat, though. I think that if Max is tricky enough, that's how he'll win. He's going to have to be tricky somewhere. It's going to be Khabib shooting, and he was doing he does those like kind of mini quarter turn kicks where he like back kicks but low, you know, and like say I'm not saying that's how it's going to play out, but something like that. Like it's kind of thing. Like Khabib's going for something too aggressively. Max catches him with something that's not a jab. You know, it's going to be a spinning elbow, or if something like that happens, Max is such an amazing finisher that if he hurts Khabib bad enough, he can finish him. Khabib, I don't know if you guys know this, no one has ever seen that guy tap. No one.
Yeah.
Ever. Even in practice. So that ain't going to happen. But I think he could catch him, and everyone's got a chin, and everyone can go to sleep. So he has that chance, and he's very creative with his striking. The thing that I mentioned earlier, I want to kind of go back to a little bit, just for my own memory, really. He's a great pressure fighter in spots, but he picks spots to be a pressure fighter, if that makes sense. The first round with Aldo in their first fight, when Aldo landed that wonderful bolo uppercut hook and then didn't follow with a fucking leg kick, it's like, what happened to you? But he landed, you know, he tried that flying knee against the fence, but he landed. Now, he's quicker than Khabib, so him landing doesn't mean Khabib lands. What it means is just the pacing, right? You cannot wait for Khabib to make a mistake. That's not going to happen. He just presses forward, and he's going to probably eat a shot in the way in, get you down, and then good luck from there. You're talking about a guy that's, I think, just a lot bigger, too. We'll see. I want to see them next to each other to get a gauge, because you could be all the same dimensions, and one's just big boned, you know, like one person's jacked up. Like Tyron Woodley, for instance, is like 5'8" or 5. I don't think he's that tall, 5'9", but he looks massive because he is. Shoulder to shoulder, you know, he's big traps. He's just built differently than Damian Maia, for example, right? So I think Max's best chance to win will be with cutting, or, you know, like literally like slicing with an elbow and him bleeding out, and or not getting finished and coming out with some crazy, you know, Holly Holm versus Misha Tate kind of thing, you know, maybe not that drastic, or dramatic anyway. He's got a chance, but I think Khabib's gonna just eat. He's gonna eat a few, because Max is savvy, and I don't think he'll get takedowns easily or anything like that. But eventually, he's gonna get him down, and when he does what Khabib does to everyone. If black belts, high level black belts, can't get up, why is the smaller, you know, lankier guy gonna be able to get up? Because it's technique meets strength, you know.
Yeah.
I see Khabib. I also see Khabib going for a finish where he might not normally, because he probably knows the tank, you know. And I think he probably was thinking that going in with Ferguson, because both of them, if they have something in common, are kind of those Diaz-built guys that not only in frame and all of that, and mentality and great chins. There's a lot of similarities there, but they also can go 5 rounds and probably go another 5 after. I think if Khabib sees an opportunity for like a head and arm triangle, he's going to take it. Or normally he kind of wouldn't, you know. He'd be content to just Hulk smash, you know. So, while I don't like picking winners, and I love Max Holloway, I don't like picking against him at all. It just is what it is, you know.
The crazy thing about this fight, and I don't know if you ever get this, there's some fighters that I watch, and I watch them and they say, this guy is not going to lose for a long time. And I get the impression from both Max Holloway and Khabib, I just didn't think they were going to lose for a long time. And now they're facing each other, and now you have to decide who's going to win it. It's going to be a draw now because of that. But it's one of those fights where both guys, I just don't see them losing anytime soon. So that's what makes the pick really hard. On the Edson Barbosa one, they're very different kind of strikers, but yeah, I get the point. The big difference in that one, I feel, is just the kicks versus the punches, where Max Holloway doesn't really rely as much on kicks, and I think that's he can get his distance with his hands a lot easier against.
I just don't want people to start making him rumble, though. You know, he doesn't like sleep guys moving backwards with a hook. No. He's a volume puncher. True.
But I think if Max Holloway is going to have success, and I think it's going to be a couple of things. One thing is, hopefully he's not that injured, because based on what he said, I just hope he's not that injured. Hopefully he's not too out of shape and that cut isn't too bad. Because based on what we know about Max Holloway, he likes donuts, he likes all these cakes and stuff, so I'm not sure how out of shape he gets in between fights. I hope he's not too out of shape.
Someone said he was 168.
Okay, that's pretty heavy for a featherweight, but he's a big guy. Like, he's kind of skinny, but he's a big guy. He's tall, So I think that gas tank is going to have to be there. And then wrestling v wrestling, you know, Khabib wins all day. So it's going to be footwork. It's going to be him staying in space. And we spoke about this loads of times, and Brendan, you brought it up a lot on the show, is that he's not going to beat him wrestling versus wrestling. It's going to be and he just beat this guy, but Jose Aldo beat so many wrestlers based on having a great footwork game and being able to defend the one takedown that he gave anybody. The only takedown that he allowed people to get on him is the single leg, and he just became a master at defending a single leg. And I just think if Max Holloway is going to win, he's going to have to just give Khabib maybe 1 or 2 takedowns and be able to stop them enough to be able to land some good shots, because Khabib is just a nightmare if he gets his hands on you.
Can I just put a little note in there real quick about what you just said? Just remember about Aldo that at 145 for years, not only was he one of the best, but he's one of the most explosive and largest guys too, overall, frame-wise. So when he fought Mendez in those, the first fight he demolished him, but the second fight was amazing. What a great fight. His takedown defense was on point, but it was like Khabib, you can't think of Khabib and then think of Chad. They're not the same, man. Yeah. It's a galactic level different. It's not the same. And I was trying to make that point with somebody today. It's like, as good as Max's takedown defense is, it's not Tyron Woodley's or GSP's. It's not like that. It's not even all those, for that matter. You know, it's very good. So is Edson. So is RDA's. So is, we could keep going with that. He gets them all down. He smashes their face in. It's just a matter of, can he catch them on the way in? And you made a great point about punches versus kicks. Kicks are way harder to catch someone with, no doubt. But Khabib stands tall when he makes the clinch. So that's like the flying knee thing I was telling you about. He presses like that, and he has his head movement's gotten better, and his head movement and his footwork's gotten better, and he corners intelligently. And when he doesn't get a takedown, he doesn't seem to get frustrated. He just goes right back at you, you know? And it's like he's gonna get it, you know. It's just a matter of time. Now, first round though, who knows? It could be fireworks. Max is Mr. Point at the center of the mat, and let's go. And he'll be scientific while brawling, you know. He's a savage.
The one thing I will say,
shocked if Max won. I really wouldn't.
The one thing I will say is just, I wonder how long Max Holloway can stay away from Khabib, because if you look at the guys that Khabib has fought, and I think Khabib is just one of the best fighters in the world, but if you look at the guys that he's fought, the only guy that really does a good job at staying away from takedowns was Edson Barbosa, and he relies on kicks. I think when guys rely on kicks against wrestlers, they get very, very hesitant to do anything. But then you go down the list, you look at Michael Johnson. Michael Johnson comes from a wrestling background. He doesn't mind getting into that clinch situation. Darryl Horcher, similar. He comes from a kickboxing background, but he doesn't mind getting in there. Dos Anjos.
He's a good grappler,
though.
He met Khabib, you know. It's a different thing.
Then Dos Anjos, again, doesn't mind being in that clinch. Pahili doesn't mind being in that clinch. Trujillo doesn't mind being in the clinch. Max Holloway is going to be one of the first guys with great hands who does a great job at staying away from that clinch against most guys. So I think that's what makes this fight the most interesting. Even Tony Ferguson doesn't mind being in the clinch, and that's why I would have picked Khabib. Not easily, but he would have been a much easier choice for me to go with Khabib, because he just doesn't mind being there. Where Max Holloway does not like it. He's going to get away from that. So how long can he stay away from it?
I think there's a few variables here as well in the fight that you have to take into it. Number one, obviously the time, the short noticeness of it. Number two, Holloway coming off this injury, as you were saying at the top of this, Rob, that, you know, only a couple of weeks ago he was talking about possibly needing surgery and he couldn't fight till the summer. How much is he in the gas tank? You know, if the fight starts, has he got 25 minutes in him in the cardio? Like, he's an absolute cardio king. Has he got 25 minutes in him? If not, will he come out all guns blazing and try to get it done inside the first round? If anyone can do it, it's Max Holloway. He needs, like, boxing range, as much as we're saying about kicking and Barbosa, it's harder to land kicks. Yes, it is, but it's also... It might be easier for the kicker if you're keeping somebody at a kickboxing range to have that distance between you. So Holloway's going to be a lot closer. He's going to be in the boxing range, so that's going to be tie in to Khabib being closer and allow him to get in close distance, get the takedowns. My biggest fear in this, and the scales tilt hugely for Khabib, is the short notice. Right now, as we're talking, I think Max Holloway is still in the air. It's an 18-hour flight he has to take.
No, he landed. Yeah.
So it's an 18-hour flight, though. Yeah, that's correct. So 18 hours, 6 days out from this super fight.
Do a weight cut that you were hesitant to take as well.
Yeah, coming back off an injury, how much has he got? I think no matter, as I said at the top, we got to throw bouquets at Max Holloway if we're taking this. But I don't think we're even going to see 70% potential of Max Holloway here on Saturday night. That's what the only.
I don't like that caveat, though. I don't like it because Khabib's up against a similar thing.
Yeah. Know? Well, Khabib's coming off a full camp.
I get it, but I don't think it's 5 anyway. You know.
Yeah. But like for me, it's no secret. I was picking Khabib against Ferguson. I just think he's dominant, and I wouldn't be changing here. I love Max Holloway, and God forgive me for picking against him. But I just don't see with all them variables in play, moving up his first ever fight at lightweight, and for me, he's taking on the best lightweight in the world. So,
see, I agree with that.
I just. You know, when you look at Max
Holloway against, like, think about his RDA fight, and Khabib's never been accused of being a USADA guy. In fact, since USADA, he looks way better. He's like a Bisping in that way, right? Since the acceptance of USADA or whatever, certain guys have kind of raised up their game because they were probably clean the whole time. Khabib looks more dominant now, right? Because it's not the Gleason T-balls that come in the ring at 210 pissing hot for, elephant HGH or whatever the fuck he took. So, you know what I mean? That guy looked like, the Hulk, literally. So there's not that. We're talking about a guy that's pretty thin. So takedown defense is a lot of technique, but up against a fence, and then with all of his judo trips and his reaping and his distribution of weight, he did it against Horcher where he got a clinch and immediately shucked his hip in to do like a valley drop, they call it in judo, where he just puts him right over the fulcrum point. Boom into side control, boom into mounted crucifix, and all of a sudden it's elbows in the face. And no matter how good your gas tank is, and Barboza was a good example, is after one round, half a round really, of being on his back, it's like, like that chest breathing that you can see it moving. You know what I mean? And it doesn't matter
put that down as well. I think that Brendan, as much as people study Khabib and stuff like that, then you could really see it in Barboza. I remember there was a picture after it, but I remember seeing it as the fight was happening. There was like a look on Barboza's face in the first round.
Oh, I do.
And it was like the holy God. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't have a solution for this.
Did you hear what Michael Johnson said, bud?
No.
Sorry, I kind of cut you off there, but Michael Johnson said, because he spars with everyone, obviously Rashad's one of his main guys, Tyrone Spong, etc., Volkan for a little bit. He said that Khabib is like grappling with an incredible 205-pounder. Wow. He said it just doesn't feel real. He said light heavyweight. Yeah. Think about that.
Wow. Is there any fear that he doesn't make weight?
What's that?
Is there any fear that he doesn't make weight?
A little. For me?
Yeah. I don't think so.
That's the thing I'm worried about most, to be honest.
Yeah.
I think tired. Yeah. He's the
fact this is the gold, I just don't think there's messing around. I think it's
hopefully he's got, because the nutritionist that he has is the same guy Max uses, by the way.
Yeah.
Tyler Minton, isn't it? Is it Tyler Minton?
Yeah, Tyler Minton.
Wow.
Yep. It was excellent.
Yeah.
Lockhart,
Yeah. So
I think about that, but let's hope that's not real.
We're going Khabib. I'm going Khabib. Rob, you going Khabib?
I'm going Khabib. Yeah, I'm going Khabib. But I don't think it's a complete blowout, but I'm going Khabib.
Okay.
It could be.
It could be.
No, I think Max could win too.
That's the thing. Like Max Holloway has. I just think that there's so much going against him coming into this fight that I'd pick Khabib over every lightweight in the division.
Yeah.
I just don't think anyone beats him. So why would I think any different when the featherweight champion's coming up? So insane. I think we've covered that, gentlemen. Let's move on to the co-main, which is an absolute stunning rematch. When we were talking about this originally, we sort of down the line of, somebody's only unbeatable until they're beaten, and then you see the holes in the game, and then you go, wow, what's it ever? So obviously Rose, when I broke this down first, my first thing was, I think Joanna beats her here. She's going to be the superior striker, and she's going to pick her apart, both in the clinch or just box her up, basically what Joanna does. And I said, if Rose can win the fight, she can win it in the scrambles. How wrong was I? Rose Namajunas looked absolutely phenomenal phenomenal in the first fight. She absolutely picked Joanna apart. But I honestly think Joanna thought she was just going to turn up that night and run through Rose. And this whole talk of the boogie woman and all this sort of talk, and it was almost like she believed her own hype. And now, funny, with the match turned back around, I think Namajunas in Joanna's head. But I'm intrigued to see a hungry Joanna Jędrzejczyk come back. Her first loss in her career. I'm expecting to see an angry former champion stepping into the cage on Saturday night.
Mm-hmm. You know what worries me about that? Well, if I'm not rooting for Joanna per se, because I love both of them, actually. Rose is another easy like, it's easy to like her. And Joanna, I'm just a fan of her technique, and any interactions I've had with her, she's always been awesome. But I don't like the way she's speaking leading up to the fight. Like, if you take it was a fluke route, you got to kind of take it easy with that route, right? You want to tread softly, and she's going 180 in a Porsche in that lane. You know what I mean? It was lucky. It's my belt. I deserve my belt back. My. It's like, it's just a fucking belt. And if you're that worried about a strap, you might be going in there a little too tentative versus someone who can be a little bit kamikaze. And a kamikaze with incredible skill, mind you. That doesn't make for, it doesn't feel like the first one did, where it's like Rose has a chance, these are the chances, and she exceeded that by a landslide, right? This one, now Joanna could put it all together, get out there, lance her jab, cut her up, and take her out. It could absolutely happen. But I don't like the mental state she has going in. Rose is clearly unshakable, She's never shown a sign of being shook ever.
Yeah.
So from a technical standpoint, I don't know. We didn't get to see much the first time. It was over in a second. Joanna was moving backward a little bit more than I would have liked to see.
Way more.
That's not her. Yeah, I mean, it's one thing when it was against like Andrade or whatever, who's has a granite chin and all that, and just her style of fighting. But with Rose, you can meet her and just play the footwork game, But she has a great striking coach, and I don't know, man, it's going to be. We'll see. I can see either one winning early again, or go 5. It's fascinating. I just don't like Joanna's my belt thing. Got to chill on that. It's not right now.
Specifically on that one, I think she's really doubling down on the weight cut thing. She said that the weight cut was really bad, and it probably was. Like, I'm not saying it wasn't, but it seems like she's really buckling down on the whole idea that the weight cut was terrible. If I was 100%, I get in there, and that can happen. Like, I'll call back to a fight that happened locally here in Ireland first, and then it happened in the UK. Tim Barnett versus Rhys McKee. You probably didn't see it, Brendan, but the first fight went down. Rhys McKee came in as the champion, and he got blown out by Tim Barnett in the first round, just completely decimated. There was rumours that his weight cut was absolutely awful. He spoke about it after, and in the second fight they rematched about a year later, and it was the complete opposite. Rhys McKee went in there and blew him out. So that could have come down to the weight cut, and we could probably see something similar. But I'm not sure.
Like GSP, Matt Serra kind of thing?
Yeah, we could. Like, it's not... And as well with Rose, it's like, Rose has, 9 fights, 10 fights now? Like, she's still so young in the game. It's crazy. It's insane. So, who knows what she's going to look like showing up. And on the thing that you spoke about where Joanna was moving backwards a lot against Rose, I'm not sure that was a game plan thing. Whereas against Andrade, I think... You knew Andrade was going to come forward.
She planned to do it against Andrade. I think it was a matter of, oh my God, these looks aren't what I expected.
Exactly. That's what I feel as well.
Yeah.
I feel like she was almost caught by surprise. She came out, tried to take the front foot, and it just didn't happen. So
I think she was hurt. I think she was hurt in the opening exchange,
and right away.
And I wholeheartedly think that she underestimated Rose coming into this fight. But as well, it's just briefly. Sorry, Rob, I'm going to crash, so I'll just say this quickly. With what you're saying, Brendan, and mindset, this strikes me as somebody in denial. That way it's everybody else's fault except what I actually done that night, and that's the mentality I get. And she's sort of sticking with that. It's like recovery from anything. You have anger, you have frustration, you have denial, and then you eventually have acceptance. And she's in the anger and denial section of her recovery of losing her belt. So will the acceptance come? But you know, it's we're talking about this now. If she goes out there and does what Joanna normally does in her fights and blows Rose Namajunas out and gets her belt back, we'll go, then you can revisit the idea of, oh well, actually maybe she did just have an off night that night and something was up. But, sorry, go ahead, Rob. I could have crossed it.
That was one of the points I was going to get to. I think if she wasn't hurt early, I'd be very interested to see how that would have played out over the 5 rounds, because Joanna, I still feel Joanna is probably a better striker, but she definitely has better credentials. I think she's more well-rounded striking. I think that maybe Rose just has that more of an X factor where she can finish. Like Joanna, although she's a great striker, she's not the best finisher in that division. She really isn't. She goes to a lot of decisions.
She's never been.
Yeah, never been.
Did you guys see my breakdown on Giorgio Petrosian?
I didn't watch that one yet, actually.
No.
But he's a beast.
Okay, he's a kickboxer, not an MMA guy. But point being, he's a Mayweather-ish kind of guy. In the fact that late Mayweather, he doesn't really finish anyone. He doesn't get hit much, right? And his technique is about as perfect for K1 style Dutch kickboxing as it gets. It's flawless. Everything he does is perfect. That said, he doesn't knock anyone out. So Joanna's very much like that. I've talked about how perfect she lances her jab, the way she no-sells her kicks, the way she'll frame people with her lead hand and then put it out like an inch punch, when they're showing up. She does magical things striking, but she's built like a woman. She's very slender, there's not a lot of muscle on her. So she's, with a head kick, you can knock somebody out, or just like Carla, as far as I think it was, just round after round, finally, an elbow or two to the nose. Okay, and you're probably gonna fall down. But she doesn't have the same finishing abilities as Rose, and she's not gonna submit Rose. I don't think. I mean, that'd be kind of funny, actually, considering how the first one went. But it's more about like a war of attrition for her usually, and just tremendous skill. Whereas Rose has that left hook was powerful and fast.
I like the way I like the way Rose kind of jumps in as well. She gets in and out, whereas Joanna
slides in, slides out. Yeah, she's very good on her feet. Yeah.
It's great fight.
Who's your pick, Rob? Tell us who you're going.
I'm gonna go with Rose, just on the fact that I think that she's gonna get better. She's still very young. She keeps getting better in between fights. Joanna, I just have a sense that the weight cut wasn't as bad as she's probably making it out to be. I don't think it was the McKee Barnett style thing, because she didn't. It's not that she got really tired; she just got hurt early. I didn't really see anything like that. Not that she can't win. When the fight happened and I said if they rematched, I probably would side with Joanna, because she's still an excellent striker. But I just feel like Rose. I think it's just Rose's time. Yeah.
Brandon, you picking it? Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll pick on that one. This will probably surprise you, but I'm gonna go with Rose.
Wow.
I think she's gonna finish her again too.
Oh, yeah.
I think she's gonna hurt her and then submit her. Third round.
Nice. Funny, we're going. It's a full house. I'm going Rose Namajunas as well. For simple fact. Of course it is. That's what we done last time. But I just think Rose is in her head, and for some reason it's quite weird. As you were chatting away there, I was just looking at reach and stuff like that. They've the same reach. There's no difference in reach, and that surprised me, because it almost looks like Rose throws longer shots, or something, because she just seems to be. I just think she's in her head. And I think
Joanna has thin shoulders, and don't forget your reach.
Yeah. But as well, a big thing is that, and you can't get away from it. She may say it was for balance, it was whatever. Joanna tapped to strikes, so Rose knows she's hurt her, she's finished her, she's TKO'd her, and she also knows if it goes to the ground. She has broken her. It's hard to get back in there with somebody who has broken you physically and mentally, and I think Rose has done that.
Why I picked Rose, that's what I would have said.
Yeah, and Rob has a great fact as well. Joanna, if she was to do this, would have to do something that nobody has done since when, Rob?
Since it was Randy Couture.
Yeah.
Randy Couture back in the day.
Won his belt back in an instant rematch. Okay. So the champion has never won their belt back in an instant.
Because GSP had to fight Hughes rubber match, and then he got Sarah, right? Okay. Yeah, and that was that was a statement. That could happen too. It could totally happen.
Yeah. That surprised me that we're going clean slate. I think there are valid reasons why we're going clean slate, but it's I wouldn't have expected the three of us to go that way. Let's speak, gentlemen. Time is of the essence here, so let's run down the remainder of the main card as well. We've got Calvin, Gator taking on Renat. Qatar, is it?
Cater.
The Boston finisher. Oh, could have been a strangler. Would have been great. Taking on Renato Carinero, or as he's now known on this Mayacano, isn't he? Both good records here. What way do we see this one go?
I'm biased. Of course, I'm going for the Boston guy. You know? So I'll leave it there.
Yeah, I'm gonna go with Cater, just because I think Moicano can be very wild in his striking, and I think he beat Jeremy Stephens, and he beat Jeremy Stephens by kind of out Jeremy Stephens and Jeremy Stephens plus takedowns. I don't think he's gonna get
game to have to do that with.
Yeah, I don't think he's gonna get takedowns on Cater. I think Cater, his last fight against Borges, that jab was just unbelievable, and then he finished him with the uppercut. He's very good at making reads, and I just think Moicano, he's so wild and he throws a lot of the same shots. I think Cater's going to read him and he's going to land something and probably finish him.
Do you guys remember the scissor analogy I made? Like what I always, as a coach, I always teach this way, that when someone tends to, especially even from a self-defense perspective, if you're fighting someone that tends to always wing, like think Vanderlei Silva fighting Rory McDonald, right? The linear strikes are always going to get in. Around inside the round, because even as you're throwing this, your chin's tucked in your hands here. When someone's just winging wild, I'm always going to take the better long lancing punch guy, you know, or girl. But in this case,
that's why I'm picking him.
Good pick and good reasoning.
Moicano can get a lot of takedowns, which you know
he could.
I'm on the same boat. So another clean slate there as well. Calvin Cater to get the victory on the three of us there. This, for me, then, Mike Chiesa against Anthony Pettis. This is a great fight for, obviously, two great fighters, but does Anthony Pettis fall into that trap of when he gets taken down, is like a turtle on his back and stays there and just cannot get out of there against somebody as decorated as Mike Chiesa. Chiesa, I think, wants to come back and prove a point. I don't think it was weird. I do think it was a legitimate finish against Lee, where Chiesa was caught in the rear naked choke. But I think he's going to want to prove a point, and there's no better way. This is a great opportunity for Mike Chiesa taking on the former champion of the division as well. So Pettis, he's got to keep it standing. Surely that's the easiest way of talking about this fight. Pettis has got to keep it on his feet.
Every fight now with him, that's the answer. Because you used to think of him as a guy that would submit people off his back after like aerial attacks. But when you go back and watch a lot of it, he hurt them in the process of said aerial attack. Right? Like when Askren was on my best friend Joe Rogan's podcast, he was talking about, and he made a really good point about Anthony when he submitted, whether it was Gilbert Melendez, he kind of tagged him up and then he hit him with a guillotine, kind of pulled guard from there. When he got Ben Henderson, he went to orthodox versus the southpaw, body kicked him. Benson shot for a stupid takedown, armbarred him. Like he kind of did some damage before said, even though it was kind of off his back technically, he said submission, right? Because he's got more finishes via submission than KO, believe it or not. But they all came via striking first, you know, that kind of thing. But he's not good with close range, which is crazy because Duke is a genius when it comes to the tie clinch. And Anthony's never been a good clincher. Sergio's pretty good in the clinch. Cejudo is another level of grappler, and so you didn't get to see it much. But if it gets close and Case is a big 155er, and it can. It doesn't look great for Anthony, and I love the guy. I love his camp. I love his coach, especially. Tough. It's going to be where it takes place. If it's from distance, Pettis can close that said distance really well. He's so athletic and he's so creative, but he needs space to do it. And RDA kind of set a blueprint for him in that regard, you know.
Yeah, I think over the years, Pettis has just got so static on the feet that he's just almost plodding along. It's been a long time since we've kind of seen him moving very well on his feet. cutting angles and stuff. It's just very plodding. I'm not sure what it is. And if he does that against Chiesa, I just see takedowns coming. That's all I see. You can definitely hurt Chiesa, and Chiesa to the body gets hurt quite a bit.
Yeah.
Pettis has a great body kick.
That's where Pettis shines too, and he'll switch stance to do it a lot. You know,
exactly. So he could do that. It's just over 3 rounds. I just see Chiesa being able to close the distance, which he can. He throws these weird looping punches and gets takedowns and off his back. And even Pettis, what he's been talking, he's been kind of saying, I'm not really interested in fighting wrestlers. It's kind of like what Rampage was saying. Even now, Rampage been saying. So I just don't like that. I think when a fighter starts saying, I don't want to fight these grapplers, I'd rather fight strikers, it's just, is he really working that hard on takedowns now? Or, I don't know. I just pick Chiesa just to get him down to the floor and maybe finish him.
It's something that I always say when you think of a fighter as well. And I remember Brendan Schaub sort of said it when he was talking about Brian Ortega. He was like, I remember, the Brian Ortega from when I trained with him back years ago, and I don't see him as this world beater that he is now. So when he thinks of him, and in a way with Anthony Pettis, I think of Anthony Pettis doing like the Showtime kicks and all these big highlight reels, and this phenomenal fast, crazy skill set strikes and the combinations he throws, his setups, his angles, his foot movement. That's when I think of Anthony Pettis, that's what I think of. But when you look at his last 3, 4, 5 fights, that's not Anthony Pettis. No. So I have to be more realistic. The point, Rob, brilliant. I'm really annoyed because I have it noted on my phone here. Was Chiesa's body, and Pettis, if he works it, that's where the finish is there from. But I don't know what you were saying about the whole Rampage thing as well. It's so true. He's just constantly moaning about fighting wrestlers or people who are taking him down. If you don't want to be taken down, fight Muay Thai or K1. You're fighting mixed martial arts, and you're basically advertising everyone. It's like, hey, by the way, I'm really bad on the ground, so I don't want to fight you there. But you know what I mean? It's like going out, leaving your house, leaving the hall door open, and shouting to everyone, "My hall door's wide open," and walking off and coming home and being surprised that you got robbed. So for me here, I see Chiesa taking him down, and I see him submitting him as well. Getting into the ground, that's where he can get caught, and especially if Anthony Pettis is Anthony Pettis from 4 or 5 fights ago, he's got the possibilities. But as you said, Rob, he just seems to plod forward and just sort of gets it done. And even when he's just like a flower that just dies over time. He just wilts. It just doesn't seem like he has that fire in or energy or whatever it was. Like he used to be pure excitement, but even when he's getting beaten, it's like, ugh. And he just
doesn't have a sense of urgency in him. Like when he hits the floor, he's not trying to stand up. He might try to walk off his back.
I'm not gonna speak out of school here, but I have a little insight. So you got to go like this: pre-Wheaties box, post-Wheaties box, and you can kind of draw your own conclusions there.
Yeah, good point. Good point.
Yeah. Then let's move it on. I think
we're all
I'm not picking.
Of course.
Draw your own conclusions.
Yeah. For me, then, this potentially is going to be the fight that steals the card as well. Is Alaquinta taking on Paul Felder?
This savage fight. This is
going to be beautiful violence. Both men are known for going out on their shields or putting people out on their shields. This just has fight of the night, potential fight of the year written all over it. Watch, it'll be an absolute bar fest.
Can you imagine? That'd be one of those fights where I'd be like, how is that even possible?
Paul Felder elbows from his last fight. We're looking at, oh my God, stop hurting that man. It's the same with Alaquinta. Alaquinta he's just this weird guy who comes in and, he sells houses during the day, comes in, fights in the UFC. After he wins, goes on MMA Hour and absolutely talks absolute shit about the UFC. And then one fight, you can get promoted, or the promotion behind them. Well, perhaps if you don't fucking ridicule and give the promotion absolute stick, they might push you. But that's what I love Alaquinta as well. Plus, you're going to have Ray Longo and Matt Serra in his corner. Punch him in the fucking throat. So it's going to be awesome.
Put a fucking hole in his chest, kid.
For me, this is just an insanely good fight. You look at the fights that Alaquinta, Diego Sanchez, Jorge Masvidal, Joe Lozon, Pearson, these are just absolute. He just goes out and destroys, and I absolutely love this fight. And if you ask me to pick, I don't fucking know. I'll flip a coin and I'll tell you. I am going to go with Alaquinta in that sense right now. But when you guys talk, it's a great point. I'm going with Felder. But you know what? I don't care who wins. I'm just looking forward to watching the glorious violence.
Go ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I completely agree with whatever you said. The one thing I love about when you say Aloy Quinta, you kind of put the names together. You got like Ala Quinta, which is like the best nickname in the world. It's brilliant. But yeah, it's just a cracker. It's an absolutely brilliant fight. I can't wait to see Aloy Quinta in there again. He's had so many problems with injuries and with the UFC, as you said. Like, he's been talking shit about them for a long time. I just can't wait to see him in there.
0 fucks given by him.
Yeah. And I think striking wise, I think it's going to stay in the feet. Although I think Aloy Quinta might look for a couple of takedowns because that's where Paul Felder struggled. So that would be smart, I think. But on the feet, it's really, really interesting because Paul Felder, and everybody knows that he's like he trained a lot with Donald Cerrone, a bit of a protege type thing. Very similar style.
And now Duke
in
too.
Ways. Yeah, now with Duke, and I think that's going to be. I think he'll improve a lot under Duke. Whereas, like, sometimes Paul Felder, he can get into that kind of lose the first round, maybe lose the second round, and then try chase a fight late, which I don't like at all.
Like see his blood to wake up kind of thing.
Exactly, yeah. I don't like that. I really don't like that, especially against a guy like Aloy Quinta who can shut your lights out early and he'll get takedowns and who can frustrate you. So that's why I'm leaning towards Aloy Quinta, but it's a phenomenal fight.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna go with Felder, but I think it's about weapons and amount of weapons, because I think they're very similar in mentality / mindset, minus the company man thing, right? Because Felder's the ultimate company man, and Quinta is the ultimate, like, I'm not doing any of that you asked me to do. He's just not a company guy, and that's I obviously respect that.
I wonder who Dana White wants to win this fight.
Right. I wonder. But Paul's got. I have so many. I know Paul personally, and I also know his coaches. But you know what I mean. I have a lot there. But it's not. If I didn't, I would still pick Paul. I just think he has. I think he has more weapons, and I think they're very similar. They're similar in their attributes. Otherwise, I think Al would be better on the ground, but I don't see it going there. I think he's going to be content to try to take his head off. And I think by doing that, you may open yourself up to one of them savage elbows or spinning something from him. He likes to spin, you know. But Felder's an animal. Could be insanity right from the jump, you know.
Yeah. The mad thing about Felder is that he kind of turned the corner there a little bit. Probably when he started training with Duke. After that Trinaldo fight, where you start having a little bit more sense of urgency, but against
it's
Oliveira,
only been like 8 months, maybe.
It's
not long at all.
Mad. But against Oliveira, he kind of fell back into that little bit of letting Oliveira work from guard, or him trying to work from guard on the bottom, and I don't like that. But who knows? I don't think Aloy Quinta will look for takedowns too much. But if it goes there, he'll take it.
I don't see it going that way at all.
Yeah.
But who knows?
Right, gentlemen, give us your under the radar fight, a fight that you think, you know, we're not covering on the main card here, obviously, but one from the prelims that you're telling people, tune in, don't miss this fight.
I wish I had the list in front of me.
Well, we can get Rob jump in with his one. So
I'm gonna try to pronounce the name. Zabit Magomed Sharapovich.
Khabib's training partner.
Yeah.
Magomed Sharapov.
It's like Magomedov or something.
Magomed Sharapov.
Magomedov.
Yeah.
Something.
Yeah. Right? Because he's the best, probably the best prospect in the UFC right now.
Yeah, he's amazing. I forgot he's on there, so there's an easy one.
Yeah.
It's a great fight, and again, it's when you're watching him, he just does crazy techniques. And it's just absolute
shit.
He's got the kind of Dagestani mentality thing going on, immigrant mentality, whatever. He's got that mental toughness, but he's a more polished striker, more of a knockout guy too. So yeah, he's a fascinating prospect. Yeah, I like watching him.
There's a lot of fights as well, like, as in, it's not going to be my under the radar, but Felice Herrick against Carolina.
Big fight.
Great fight.
Big fight. And again, big interest in the co-main event as well. Carolina.
Of course. Obviously, right there, both of them. You know?
Yeah, and like the fact that, you know, the making of the rematch, if Rose was to go on and win, like we've predicted, she has a victory over Rose already, so you know, like a rematch would be excellent stuff. So there's that. But my under the radar here, you got to go. Let's everybody get on the Russian Express. It's Artem Lobov, choo-choo, take it on. Bruce Leroy. I just think this is a fun fight.
Yeah.
I just think Artem Lobov just has very, 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 very. I don't think Artem's ever been in a boring fight in his life. Be it if he gets the win or if he gets beaten, he tends to be in entertaining fights. He goes out on his shield and he tries to put you out on yours as well. I think it's widely known that Alex Caceres really pissed me off when he was in the tough. So I wouldn't mind Artem Lobov getting the win over him. I just didn't like his character, Brendan. I can see his whole wearing the yellow tracksuit with the black stripes just rubbed me the wrong way. I warned him a little bit of late, but I just think it's a fun fight, and I think Alex, you got to have him down as the favourite coming into the fight, but Artem tends to drag people into his type of fight. The only person who didn't really do that was Andre Fili. I thought Andre Fili handled Artem brilliantly.
Even Cub Swanson got dragged into a little bit of an Artem Lobov fight, which is mad.
That's exactly it. He just has a way of like kidnapping you and bringing you into his world, you know. It's almost, remember, you know, the game plan you worked on for 8 weeks? Never mind that. Let's stand in the centre and throw our hands at one another really hard. And Artem is just an absolute superstar in that sense. His record is 14-14. So, like, you know, people are like, what the fuck, you know, outside it. And it's not just because I know Artem from being here and seeing him and just knowing his circles and stuff like that. I just think Artem Lobov is always in fun fights, be it when he was fighting K1 fights here, in hotel shows here, or MMA shows here. He's just in fun fights. And for me, it's an unmissable one, because I think both of these guys, they're going to put on a show as well. But that's UFC 223. It is an absolute cracker. Our hearts broke and fluttered a little last night when we got the news of Tony Ferguson, but gentlemen, I think we have a beautiful main event. Brendan, your man is back in the cage. You were back with us as always. It's a pleasure talking to my man, and enjoy the hostilities, as another person would say. But B-man, we're not saying you're the best, we're just saying there's nobody better.
So welcome back to, obviously, Fight Talk, and ACB 87 lands in Nottingham, England on the 19th of May. We are now joined by one of the main event of the evening, making his second appearance on, obviously, Fight Talk. Kane Mousah, welcome back to, obviously, Fight Talk, my man.
How's it going, guys? Man, happy to be here and glad that you've got me up. What's going on?
Big fight lined up, Kane. Let's dive straight into that. Right in saying... It escalated pretty quickly on Twitter. It just seemed like, you know, in this fight game, people will call out names. But it just seems that Whiteford really took fierce offence to you calling them out. So it escalated pretty quick.
Yeah. It's a fight game, innit? Look, at the end of the day, we're here to fight each other. We're here to test ourselves against people who are either ranked above us or people who we feel like we'd match up good against. And you know, the fight with Robert is a fight that we wanted, and you know, Whiteford Robert should be flattered that I feel like he's worthy to get in the cage with myself.
Is there any history between you two? Because as Noel said, it really flared up straight away. As soon as the fight was announced, it was straight away on Twitter. You were both at each other.
For me, look, at the end of the day, when it comes to fighting, I'm emotionless. I detach my emotion from the situation. You know, if we're gonna fight, we're gonna fight. I feel like, you know, Robert's somebody, you know, who's like you said, he's took offence to the fact that I've called him out. I don't know if it's something to do with his pride or what, or his ego. But at the end of the day, look, you know, we're gonna fight. I'll put it on him. He's took it the way however he's took it, and we're gonna see on May 19th who's the bigger, who's the stronger, who's the better man.
That's something
you know, we're in battle. Do you understand what I'm saying?
So it's something you've called out as well in the fight, Kane, is that, you know, you feel you're going to be stronger, you're going to be faster, you're just going to be too big for him as a featherweight, making your first journey down to 45. But what is it that you see in Whiteford's game that you think you can exploit here? What's the weakness or something that you can see that this is all going to be your way?
You know, it's just basic. You know, Robert's not evolved as a fighter. He's the same fighter that he's always been in terms of his style and in terms of his ability. And to be honest with you, his ability is probably deteriorated over time, probably based on the fact of him, you know, him not having success in the UFC. you know, him getting a bit older. You know, I've made comment about him being old, and what I mean is he's old in the sport. He may only be a couple of years older than me, but you can just see that the man's tired. He's tired with these fight camps. He's tired with putting the work in. And it seems to me like he's tired, and his hunger's left him now. Do you understand what I mean? When you go up to somewhere like the UFC, you know, you get challenged at a level. And, you know, the fights that he had in the UFC, they weren't, you know, there was 1 or 2 big fights, but they weren't all, you know, top ranked opponents, and he couldn't get the job done. So it is what it is.
With ACB as well, you've moved around. When you look down through your record, Ken, you can see you've only got 1 blotch on the record, but when you look down, the one thing that changes is the promotions. You know, you fought the likes of on Tanko, you fought on Bama, and now it's ACB. Is ACB the home for the foreseeable future, or are you climbing that ladder?
Yeah, you know, for me, you know, being someone who's focused on growth as a character, let alone as a fighter, I feel like ACB is the best company for me to go with, you know, and seeing everything that the company does for the fighters and the way that they look after the fighters, you know, it's the best organisation for me. And I've spoke to a few other people, and, you know, other people who have been in other organisations, and they've said, look, at the end of the day, you know, ACB is up there with the best of the organisations in the world, so I'm happy to stay with ACB, yeah.
Does the fact that ACB have put you in the main event on such a big card now in Nottingham go towards that as well? Go towards your kind of admiration for what ACB is doing?
Yeah, of course, that's going to increase. You know, it's going to increase your loyalty to an organisation when they put faith in you to be able to headline. You know, headline such a big show in a big arena as well. So yeah, so for me, I'm grateful to ACB. For putting me up there, but like I said, at the end of the day, they've not put me up there for no reason. They've put me up there because I am Kane the Danger Mousah, and I do bring fire to the cage, and I have got the ability to go in there and showcase high-level skills.
Your last performance, speaking with Andreas Giorgio after your fight against Alex, you'd said that was the best version of Kane Mousah. People talk about your striking, people talk about your skill set, but you haven't displayed it. You were saying you were back training with your uncle, you feel sharper, he just programs you to be the killer when you're in there. So what do we expect to see now? Just Kane dropping down to 45? Are we just going to see a bigger, stronger animal and too big for the featherweights?
Yeah, you're just going to see, you know what, actually, to be honest with you, to be fair with you, let's be realistic about it. I'm not really that big in the respect of my height. You know, I'm pretty thick set. But I think I'm just probably an average featherweight, to be fair with you. You've seen a lot of featherweights out there, especially in the UFC, and at the highest level, you see them, they walk around the similar, you know, 77 key. I walk around at about 75, well, about 76 key. You know, so it's a time for me to come down to the weight category that I actually fit into. You know, I made 70 key against Alexander, and then I didn't actually even do a weight cut for it. I just dieted, cut my carbs on the week of the fight, reduced my carbs on the week of the fight, and I walked on the scales without even cutting any weight. So that was basically, you know, a sign for us to say that, look, this guy can actually go to 66. Might have to do a little bit of a cut, but who isn't doing a cut this day and age? And yeah, we're going to go in there and we're going to have a lot of things in our favour in terms of, you know, the strength, the power, the speed, the athleticism. And, you know, at the end of the day, look, I'll take nothing away from Robert. Robert's you know, he's a man that comes to fight, and that's another reason why I wanted to fight Robert, because, you know, he comes to fight, he comes to lay it down, but he's just going to come up against a more aggressive, a more stronger, a more hungry lion that's ready to come in there and rip his face off.
What do you think a win would do for your career here? Because this is a guy who fought in the UFC, has got to that level. How big of a win would this be for you? Would this be the biggest win of your career?
Yeah, this is going to be the biggest win to date. Look, at the end of the day, Robert's a highly ranked opponent, and he's somebody that has already fought in the UFC, and you know, he's a recognised name. You know, he trains at a good team. I've seen he's going over to American top team to finish off his camp. So, you know, he's a highly recognised opponent, but to me, it doesn't matter where he goes, it doesn't matter who he is, it doesn't matter what his name is. I'm in there to do what I've got to do, and I'm going to do what I've got to do. We've identified holes in Robert's game, we've identified areas that we're going to target and we're going to work on, and you're going to be able to see the showcase on the night that we like you've already seen, I am back with my uncle full time. And, you know, let's be honest and take nothing away from Brendan as a fighter, but, you know, him having such a close relationship with my uncle has basically, you know, been a good attribute to a lot of Brendan's success. And, you know, and Brendan's the first person to say that and let people know that. And the same's going to happen to myself. Brendan's gone away to Thailand for 4 weeks now, which is going to give, obviously, it's going to give me more time with my uncle on a one-to-one basis. I'll be training with him a lot more and homing on this specific fight approach. I don't like to call it a game plan. It's just an approach to a fight, and that's what we're going to do. We're going to work on specific things, and we're going to get in there on the night, and we're going to showcase, we're going to showcase how much of a better fighter I am than Robert.
One thing I want to touch on as well, and it's sort of, a lot of people say it's the secret ingredient to success going forward as well, Kane, is you taste the defeat. The lessons learned from that. Do you find that made you stronger as a fighter? You've gone on now an impressive 3-fight win streak. So was the secret recipe that one defeat?
For me, basically, the fight against Mark was just, you know, it was a learning curve in itself. It made me realize that, you know, when you come into these type of high level fights, you need full focus. In that situation, you know, when I had to fight Mark, I didn't have full focus. I had other things going on, which, you know, added to distractions and distracted me from focusing on the fight. Which, you know, at the end of the day, I always say, look, the better man on the night won, and this is what I will always say, and I'll always stand by. The better man on the night in the fight. But does it mean that Mark is a better fighter than myself, or does it mean that in other circumstances, you know, there would have been a different turnout? You know, I do believe in that. But like I said, take nothing away from Mark. But what that fight did do, it taught me a lesson that when you have got these big fights, you need to focus and don't have any other distractions in your life. And I applied that with Alex Enland. And we were able to see the beginning of, you know, the fight of the full capacity of what Kane Mousah can bring to the cage.
Based on the way you talk and based on what you've done in your career, not just the MMA career, but you also have the clothing brand as well, which you're sporting there. You don't seem like the type of guy who just kind of takes fights randomly or does things randomly. It seems like you do have a plan with your career. So, do you have a plan for the next year, 2 years, where you want to be?
Yeah, look, at the end of the day, I believe in planning. I believe in planning and focusing on yourself. Like, you know, everyone's different, yeah? Some people like to fight just to fight. I like to fight the right fights at the right time, to make the right moves in my career. As you see, look, I'm somebody that I went prison. I had to do 4.5 years of my life in prison. I've come out and I've realised that, you know, I'm not getting any younger now. I'm 31, I'm in my prime, and now's the time for me to make the right fights at the right time. And that's where it comes. We sit down, we look at which opponents we feel will, you know, give us the most impact on the fight scene itself, and which fights we'll be able to capitalise on and take advantage of. And you know, we've seen it happen with Alex Enland, and you know, I can guarantee the same will happen with Robert Whiteford on May 19th.
In the prediction, I'm not too sure if you're the prediction man. What do you predict for May 19th? I predict, listen, yeah, this is the danger. This is Kane the Danger Mousah, and all I do is bring fire and explosive action to the cage. So when I get in there, you know, I let them go. You seen what happened to Alex when I hit him with this left. Yeah, you know, when I hit people with this left, you see what happened to Miles Price. You remember what happened to Miles Price when I hit him with that in Bama? We do indeed. We were there. Okay, so
shout out to Miles Price as well. That was a tough fight, but you know, you're just gonna see me at a lighter weight with more power, stronger, faster, and you know, there's a high possibility that Robert's gonna get his head taken off in there.
Kane, absolute pleasure talking to you. It's something we tried to set up last week, but it fell away. We thank you again for being patient with us and coming on with us today. We wish you the best of luck. I'm looking forward to seeing the next version as well of Kane Mousah. So again, thanks a million for joining us.
Yeah, listen, I just wanted to say a massive shout out. You already know what time it is. Shout out to Carl Prince for working with me and supporting the movement. Shout out to everybody at All Powers, and shout out to the main bad boy clothing brand in the game, Bada Sport, all day, every day. I'll see you all May 19th. Make sure you don't miss it.
Cheers, Kane. Thanks a million, man. Take care.
All right, see you later, guys.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Sounds like it means business. The danger. Kane Mousah, the danger.
That's how you finish an interview.
It is, man.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Pro.
Yeah, absolute pro.
We have him ready for
brilliant.
MMA hour.
Yeah.
But again, Kane Mousah, he is a rising star, and I think as a point you were sort of making, Rob, for fighters, you look at Kane on the win streak. It's when you see a guy fall out of the UFC, can they climb? So we can see what he's doing. But you know, he has his hands full here with Robert Whiteford. What I like about Kane as well, when you look back, he fights the guys. You know what I mean? He doesn't seem to be a fighter who avoids the hard fight. 10-1 is a very impressive record.
Very impressive. Yeah.
ACB seems to be
big following behind him as well.
And you get that with a lot of fighters speak so highly of ACB. Great promotion.
Yeah.
Making the first visit in a long time. The last promotion to go to Nottingham was the UFC. Obviously, I think it was headline, wasn't it, by Dan Hardy that night?
Yeah. And if you're an American and you're listening to this show right now, and we're talking about ACB, and you don't know who ACB is, Frank Mir is now a promoter of ACB.
Yeah.
You know Frank Mir?
Yeah.
Promoter of ACB, that's mad.
Yeah,
it's mad.
He's the commentator. He's the voice of it with the wonderful, funny Brian Lacey.
Love Brian Lacey.
But yeah, big shout out. I'm really looking forward to watching Kane fight. I remember when I remember watching Kane. There was a lot of hype when he was fighting Miles Price coming into that fight as well here in Dublin. Then obviously the Casey fight in Birmingham. I was lucky enough to be a cage side watching it. But yeah, he's 3-fight win streak and an incredibly impressive performance in his last outing. So thanks a million. And again, as we were sort of alluding at the end there, poor Robert had an ill sick tummy last week, so the interview fell away. Yeah. And we had loads of internet problems today, so we appreciate
we eventually got it.
Professionalism and patience and waiting for us. But check it out.
Move on to something a little different. Something a little different. We want to try. This is something we've been trying to do for a while. Simple idea, but I just think it's fun. It's something that I think you brought up first.
This day in MMA history.
Yeah, it's something that people do. I think there's a lot of Twitter accounts that do it as well. But it's something that I think would be a bit fun to do. Try to get it in each week. This week in MMA history, talk a little bit about something that happened years ago. Or maybe last year, whatever.
So 14 years ago, Rob. This week marks the anniversary of Chuck Liddell knocking out Tito Ortiz at UFC. What number?
47.
That's goddamn impressive.
Yeah.
It's almost like you wrote this information
almost like
down.
I put it down on the page and I still almost forgot.
What was intriguing about this fight was Tito at the time was the man in the UFC, like, do you know what I mean? And he's a Kane. And Chuck was the up and coming sort of in the background training partner of Tito Ortiz. So it really led, and for years it was done that Tito was dodging Chuck and he won't take the fight, and all that talk was going around.
And Chuck was saying that Tito was never my friend. It was just more if he was my training partner. Friends.
Dana
went for a long time.
Dana had his hands in both pots as well, where he managed both fighters.
Yeah, managed both. Yeah.
What I love about it, UFC 47 was called. You know how they used to name their cards? It's on.
It's on. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because it took a long time for the card the fight to come to fruition. But I think once that fight happened, it kind of proved that Chuck Liddell was always going to be a terrible matchup for Tito Ortiz. Tito Ortiz it's just a bad matchup. Tito back in the day was a good fighter if he could get takedowns and if he could mix it up. But in that fight, I think Chuck proved just the difference between the strikers that they were. Now,
I remember the opening. I think it was the opening round where they were standing trading, and Tito, you could tell, had no interest, and he sort of went for this initial takedown, and Chuck just brushed it off. Chuck's defensive wrestling. For you people who are going, who's Chuck Liddell? If you are young and you are listening, he's the reason why old fogies like me love this game.
I'll say something unpopular in a minute, but continue.
He stopped the takedown, and that's. Chuck, you're gonna criticize what I'm about to say.
No.
Chuck Liddell had fantastic wrestling, but he used it to counteract you taking him down, and he used it to stay on the feet so he could absolutely land bombs. And you could see he lands, and as Tito was trying to pull away, he catches him with a counter, and you can sort of see Tito smile and go, ha ha, whatever. But at the same time, it was like, shit, I couldn't get him down, you know. But yeah, what are we gonna?
No, just something that's a little bit unpopular, because when this came on, I just rewatched, because it's only a round and a half or something when I seen it.
Yeah, finished him in a second.
So I rewatched the fight, and I just think it proves, and again, this is probably unpopular, but I don't think anyone can really disagree with it. It just proves how far this game has come. Like, Chuck Liddell was only fighting a couple of years ago, maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago. But if you watch this fight and you watch the way Tito and Chuck were striking, Chuck was one of the best strikers in the division, probably in the UFC at the time. But like, there's like zero footwork there. Like his hands, like the way he always fight, he didn't have technical striking. He's more,
when he got Tito up against the cage, it's like he landed a couple of pitter patters. They weren't pitter, they were big shots.
No, they were big shots.
But Tito was just, if you remember, he started doing that, and he wasn't doing it. And then it was like, Chuck was like, all right, you're not moving, so I'm just going to absolutely bombard you.
Which is brilliant, excellent killer instinct. But
then
you just never see
Tito
that
just
anymore.
went, on the ground. Like.
And that's no disrespect to the guys, because like this is 14 years ago.
But
but it just shows that the levels that the game has come, and it just also shows that Chuck Liddell shouldn't come back. I love Chuck Liddell, but just don't come back. If you want to fight Tito, then whatever. But yeah,
this will show you though. What did we say 14 years ago?
Yeah.
Do you know who else was on the card, Rob? Nick Diaz versus Robbie Lawler.
Man, do you know who else was on the card? I remember scrolling through the card and just saying, I'm pretty sure Mike Brown was on the card. Was he?
Mike Brown, yes. Mike Brown was on the card.
Prelims. The opener, wasn't it?
Got beaten by Sudo.
Man, that's crazy.
So that's what's interesting. I just have the card open here in front of me going through it. Like, Nick Diaz took on Robbie Lawler. Andrei Arlovsky.
Oh man, that was a great fight actually.
Got a win over Wesley Correa.
Yeah.
Eve Edwards was on the card as well. And then Chris Loydal was on it as well.
Lights out.
Yeah, Chuck, Tito.
Class.
Man, I love the odd time. I don't know if you ever do it, Rob. The odd time when you're sitting at home, there's nothing on the TV, and you stick on Fight Pass, and you just pick a fighter from the past. And you go, I'm gonna pick this guy.
Yeah.
What's funny about this is that well, not funny, but coincidence. All the rumors of Chuck Tito coming back, and now it's the anniversary, 14 years. And when you look at Chuck Liddell, he probably looks in better shape now than when he was in that fight with Tito.
A bit of a
Ortiz.
muffin top going on, didn't he, around the shorts region?
Listen, I love a man with a muffin top because I can relate.
No, he's in great shape. I just don't think his mind right now is in great shape, or is
But go back. It's like for me, off a little off road here, but for me, Liddell, I loved watching Liddell. There was just that feel. It's like the feeling now, I suppose, the younger, newer generation fans, UFC, MMA fans have. It's like when Conor fights. Like if Facebook and social media were around,
I get you.
Liddell,
he was the star.
Yeah, and it was like the big thing was Tito was the star. Tito used to come out with the Mexican and American flag, and he'd come down and he'd dig the grave.
When he won,
Tito proper had his gimmicks, like.
Yeah,
but
he was like almost plucked straight out of pro wrestling, pretty much. His thing is
yeah, he really was.
He
really was. But that was back in the day. Beautiful stuff.
Yeah, that's the show. That's the show. Man, finish it on that.
I miss old MMA, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, so big shout out to Kane Mousah for coming on and being patient with us. Thanks a million, Kane. And check him out again at ACB 87 in Nottingham. Again, that is the 19th of May. I'm sure, I'd imagine they're going to be broadcasting it. They normally show all their fights on stream.
Yeah, I think they stream. I'm not sure if it's a pay-per-view thing, but yeah, I think they stream it.
Brendan Dorman, not thanks for today, Brendan. Thanks for yesterday.
Yeah.
Pre-record with Brendan, breaking it down. We went deep. Yo, April. We went deep. Yeah, man. What a weekend of fights ahead, Rob.
Yeah, I can't wait. Like, the main event was out, and then it's back. And well, not it's back, but we have a different one. But it's
please,
it's
everybody
tasty.
make way.
It's still tasty.
Make way. Yeah. Everybody make way.
Man. Until they make way, until they walk out into the cage, I'm just not gonna get too excited. Just kind of I'll temper my expectations a little bit, because
Fight Star Ireland, check them out. The Fighter's Choice, everything you need under two roofs. MMAmix.com. They're obviously good. because they're with obviously Fight Talk and to feelsupreme.co.uk. Go check them out. Get the CBD oils. I have to order me Shroom Tech, whatever they're
Shroom Tech,
Shroomergy or whatever it's called. Look, people, I just take things that I'm told are good for me. Obviously, I'm not on them yet because I don't know the name of them and I'm not concentrating enough. Boom. See you next week, people. Enjoy the fights.